Okay, now welcome to Jack Straw Cultural Center. We hope you like what we've done with the place while we're under construction. It's a little bit of a strange world out in the hallway and getting in here because outside of the studio we're having some construction going on. But in here we're going to enter the magical, wonderful world of Trío Guadalevín. My name is Tom Stiles. I'm an engineer and instructor here at Jack Straw. And we welcome you here and online for this program. And I'm going to turn it over to Gus, I think, to introduce the evening.
Hi, I'm Gus Denhard, member of Trío Guadalevín. Really a pleasure to be here. And I just wanted to start off the evening with a big thank you to Jack Straw Cultural Center. All of us in this group have received individual project grants to pursue our own work. I think some people in the audience maybe also have recorded here at Jack Straw. So it is just so universally loved and such an important organization. The grants that they do enable us to essentially record the soundtrack to these videos that you're going to hear today. Spending hours in the studio with a really experienced sound engineer for way less than you would pay anywhere else. And that is so important when artistic projects are on a shoestring. Jack Straw is also in the schools. Many of us have been involved in school projects and ongoing programs that they do. So they're supporting artists in a variety of ways. I didn't even mention the many classes that they offer here for artists, sometimes for free, to learn about recording techniques. So go to the website. We're here tonight because of them. These videos are going to be shown tonight because of them. So thank you, and on to my colleague, Tony.
Hey everyone, thank you for being here or watching online. So just to introduce ourselves really quickly, we're Trío Guadalevín, and the members are Abel Rocha, Gus Denhard, and my name is Tony Gómez. And this is a trio that started kind of as a musical potluck 11 years ago now. The idea was always to see what happened when we brought different musical ideas together, and especially looking at musical ideas that represented different cultural streams and perspectives. And so we very intentionally play with different musical traditions from both Mexico and the Mediterranean. Is mainly where we're mainly the sandbox that we play in. And taking apart and then reconstructing the various elements that create Latin American music, mainly indigenous, African, and European musical aesthetics. And so putting that all together and sometimes reinventing it in a way to emphasize something that might have been obscured is something that we love to do. And this is a project that allowed us to come a little bit closer to home. And it's something we've been working on for a number of years now. And it started actually way before the music part of the project started. It started in a very personal way for me. My background is as an educator, K-12 educator. And when my own kids were in elementary school, my daughter was in fourth grade, and of course, like all fourth graders in Washington, studying Washington history. And when I looked through her textbook, I saw that there was virtually no representation of our community, of the Latino community, in the telling of the story of Washington State. And that stuck with me for a long time, especially knowing about some of the various historic chapters of how our community arrived and how it made contributions. And so we had an opportunity, first with support from the City of Tacoma through the Office of Arts and Cultural Vitality, and then later in partnership with Washington State Parks and with support from the National Endowment for the Arts, to explore this idea of the story of Latinos in what is now Washington State, and to tell that story over time, because it's a history that extends beyond 240 years, really, and depending on where you start, but at least 240 years. And so it seemed like a really great project for this ensemble, which is so focused on exploring history that that we could dig into some of these stories and hopefully pass those stories on to illuminate them or highlight them for the broader public. And so our idea was to create these musical accompaniments for each or for select chapters in that longer history. And each of us were stretched in different ways. I don't even know how many instruments we played to finish this project, but it was a lot. And then also it was really wonderful and exciting, and also very humbling to do the research and to talk to folks who were our cultural bearers and historians about the kind of the stories across the past few centuries. And so the project is really in some ways a dialogue of those of us who are in the present with the stories that have happened in the past, and an invitation to reacquaint ourselves with some of those stories, especially those that have been that have fallen by the wayside, have fallen through the cracks, or been omitted or obscured. And at this time of intense misrepresentation of the Latino community across the United States, this work has become essential work. This has become the work of dignity and the work of authentic representation, to the extent that we can lend our voices to that process. And that's not to say that we are the authentic arbiters of these stories, but we invite others to explore these stories on their own terms. So the first chapter of history that we looked at was a chapter from the late 1700s. And in Washington State, or what is now Washington State, there was no idea of Washington State yet in those terms. So in the late 1700s, the area of the Salish Sea, which of course had been, part of the world of Salish peoples since time immemorial, was being referred to by the outside world as New Albion. And it was it was one of the last mysterious places on the globe in terms of the cartographers and the seagoing explorers that were exploring, every different corner of the globe. And this one, there was this question of the Northwest Passage. There was mostly consensus that it didn't exist, but there was still the possibility. And so, and then also there was no colonial power or global power that was fully presiding over this area. And so there was a lot of activity between English, Russians, Americans, and Spanish. And this is, by the way, this is before Lewis and Clark completed the overland journey across the continental North America, from east to west. And so this Pacific coast of North America was, as I mentioned, a land that had been continuously inhabited by people of various Salish cultures for millennia, but in the sense of the outside global world, it was still something new and fresh. And all these different global powers were kind of vying with each other. And we know some of the explorers like George Vancouver and Peter Puget. Those are kind of, we hear their names in cities and places, but there's also cities and locations around Washington State that have names in Spanish, like the Strait of Juan de Fuca. Port Angeles was Puerto Angeles. You have the San Juan Islands. And so what's the story behind that? And the story was that the Spanish saw this part of the world as part of their domain, dating back to the treaty that had been created by the Pope between the Spanish and the Portuguese in the 16th century. And they had never really invested in this area with a presence. But as other colonial and world powers became interested, they became more interested. And so in the 1790s, an expedition left the west coast of at the time what was New Spain and what is now Western Mexico, the port of Barra de Navidad in the state of Jalisco in modern Mexico, and sailed up along Western Mexico, up along Baja California, Alta California, to the Pacific Northwest coast, and landed at Nia Bay in the traditional territory of the Makah Nation. And this was an expedition that was led by Spanish officers, but the crew were mestizos and Nayarit Indians. And we wanted to imagine this moment where you have this group of explorers or settlers arriving at Nia Bay, and this sailing ship that's populated by Spanish and mestizos and Nayarit Indians coming into contact with the Makah, and the canoes led off by Chief Tataku to greet the sailing ship. And so we focused on this as our first musical chapter, and Gus actually brought the melody that we would use. Do you want to talk a little bit about the melody that we chose?
Yeah, really briefly. It's called Canarios. It's by Gaspar Sanz, who was a guitar player and general musician living in Madrid in the late 17th century, so 1690s roughly. And this Canarios is inspired by sounds and sights from the Canary Islands, one of the first possessions that the colonizing Spanish took. And so there's a certain flavor to it that is not in other European music. So this idea of whose culture is inspiring who is maybe a question here. And it fits beautifully on the guitar. It's a lovely melody. And it's been played by everyone, starting with Andres Segovia and then eventually on historical instruments. And tonight I'm playing it on a copy of an instrument that was made here in the Northwest by John Rollins. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and we also wanted to offer a version of this song. I mean, the melody has that kind of seafaring kind of vibe to it, but we also wanted to adapt it in a way that relates to the people who were involved. And so we didn't want to do a traditional rendering of the song. We wanted to involve instruments that reflect the people in the story. Abel, do you want to show the instrument that you used for this song and tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, this is the instrument that I used is a guitarra quinta huapanguera, and it represents the main styles of music of son huasteco or huapango. And the reason it inspired me is acoustically it sounded contrasting to the instrument that is playing Gus and the percussion instruments, but also the Huasteca region, which is a very large part of the territory of Mexico, 6 states, have a peculiar rhythm that has lots of variations. It's a very important style, and so and as well there is a song actually that is called Canarios. It's not the same melody there. It's a folk style music that it's into the vignette style of instrumental pieces of La Huasteca. We are talking about a very large genres in that, but it's all played. One of the essential instruments is this. So it inspired all of this to me to add the rhythm a little bit of the son Huasteco and some melody lines adding to the main one of Canarios.
Yeah, so all these instruments we're choosing in a hopefully a thoughtful way to kind of reflect this intersection between Spanish, Indigenous Mexican, and Northwest Indigenous cultures. And the other character in the song is nature itself. And so you'll hear the sound of an ocean drum and the sound of bird calls that emulate nature. And so that's the other character that's in the song. And I think what we should do next is watch the video. And I have to say, too, that we're really excited because tonight we have the videographers from the project. We had worked with 2 amazing production companies, and we'll kind of introduce them at different parts in the program. But first up, we'll take a look at the video for our version of Canarios, which is called Dia and Dia, meaning day in Nia. So Dia, D-I-A, is in Spanish is day, and D-I-A-H is an old spelling of Nia for Nia Bay. and we want to thank in particular the Makah tribe for its gracious support of the project and supporting us to film on location there in their traditional territories. So that was the idea, and then to make it a reality took some incredible innovation and cooperation and quick thinking from the production team. And this is a song that we're very proud of because it notes, and I want to make clear, like, we're not necessarily celebrating this incursion of outsiders into Makah territory, but we are observing that it happened, and it was the first permanent non-indigenous settlement in what would become Washington State. And at a time in particular when Latinos are being presented or construed as like we all just got here, the reality is that there's been a presence here in this corner of the world for centuries. And so to pull off that story, to pull off that representation of that natural area was a demanding task. And so I want to introduce Mark David Obenza from Scribe Studios, who was the video producer for that project. And Mark. So come on up. So we're going to put you in the limelight in the camera here. There's a mic for you right there.
Wow, incredible. Okay.
Yeah. And here he thought he was just coming for a chill evening.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to record them in the wilderness, as it were. We don't get a lot of opportunities to record out in the outdoors, actually. So this was a special challenge to do. We wanted to get, all of the perfect shots. That was always has been our priority, and the really peak challenge of that was, I must say, off the shore of what was the brother. Also, I think he one of the other shots, but it was all worth it, actually, because it was a beautiful experience and memorable, and I think it turned out beautifully.
Yeah. Well, and will you share a little bit too? Like, I know that, you of course you do videography, but you're also a musician, and then the thing that you and Willie do as a hobby is you spend a lot of time in the outdoors. Like, how did those things come together in this project?
Yeah, well, people are trying to expand what the video can do, right? I mean, there are a lot of videos of people performing in concert, and some people, like you guys, have wanted to experiment, outside the concert stage. So we've done some outdoor shooting for a couple clients, and that seemed to mold well with our interests. Me and Willie are quite outdoorsy people, and so we are familiar with what it takes to hike around and bring heavy backpacks, and we also have an eye for shooting, and Willie's an expert dronist, and he's really quite handy with that. He has his commercial license and everything, and so sort of expanding our outdoors hobby with our video profession has been really, really wonderful.
Well, thank you so much. And I don't know if Gus or
Yeah,
Abel, if you want to.
No, I think we are very happy when we saw the whole result. It's like you said, it's worth it.
Yeah,
Everything is beautiful.
It's a very musical video.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, I noticed like even like you're timing the water rising with the sound of the ocean drum.
That's very nice.
Yeah, it kind of blew my mind. So yeah, thank you.
Well,
So
thank you.
yeah, Mark David Obenza, Scribe Studios.
Thank you.
And
Azteca music from 100 years, 200 years later. Azteca music from 100 years, 200 years later, that there's a thread there. So we're kind of always looking for that. So we're going to do kind of the second half of the after the strumming and where the guitar goes back.
Gracias. So this project, we should back up to and say, we're sitting at the studio here at Jack Straw, and this was a really important part of the process. And this project was probably the most layered project that we've worked on in terms of taking something from an idea and then going into the research phase, either arranging or composing music, and then recording it, recording the audio here at Jack Straw, and then taking that and working with the video production teams to cite and film all the different aspects of the videos that would represent the themes. And the second song in the series is a song that jumps ahead in the historical narrative to the mid-20th century. It is a song that is composed as a corrido, and I'll ask Abel to talk a little bit about a corrido and the composition process. But just quickly to say that this song is a song that honors a critical contribution to the state, and that was the work of the migrant farm workers whose hands and backs helped fuel the agricultural economy of this state to help prop up this state's modern economy. And that's been the case since at least the 1930s, definitely in the 1940s with the braceros. But even before that, we saw both Mexican and Latino American families from the Southwest that would follow the migrant circuit of crops and travel from states in the Southwest and other places along the West Coast up here to Washington, and specifically to the Yakima Valley, the Wenatchee Valley, and then on the west side to areas like Mount Vernon, and play an important role in the history of Washington State. So we wanted to honor that chapter with this particular kind of song that's in the format of a corrido. And Abel was very patient with, being the former social studies teacher of the group. I got all these articles and I sent them to Abel, and he had to read them and then turn them into verse. And so, Abel, you want to tell us a little bit about the song you constructed?
Yeah, I mean, the information was inspirational. It was very nicely presented and explained. And it's as the corrido is faithful to narration, something that happens to somebody, something that happens to people or a group of people, and a lot of it with important people, but not always that. It's something that anybody of the people can experience. In this case, it's the farm workers, and it shows actually. I tried to be faithful with the name, calling La Pizca del Oeste, since it talks about basically the whole movement in the West Coast. Obviously, it goes beyond that in the whole country, but in the West Coast, coming first from Mexico, different parts of Mexico, to the most probably southern states first, Texas, California, Arizona. But then for circumstances, it's been always labor that is not considered where they are going to be or not. So whenever it's not more than enough arms to work, then the migration keep coming. So that's when it was useful for the purpose of showing what it was and what is the characteristics of Washington State. So that's pretty much the whole inspiration. Is actually a very interesting whole movement. It's kind of a diaspora in itself, seeing all these groups, but always very faithful to work in the farms. It's a very, with other parallel stories that I quote in the song, like the very important presence of other historical events, like the history of Joaquin Murrieta and some stories related to that, and many others that I don't mention but are important, and or the origin where the people comes from Mexico and so forth.
I thought that was really interesting too, the way that you incorporated the story of Joaquin Murrieta, who was someone who was wronged in the U.S. takeover of California, and so there's this ballad that tells his story, and there's other ballads like this, like the Ballad of Gregorio Cortés, and then
the farewell in every half of the song, like vuela, vuela, palomita, vuela, like vuela, vuela, palomita, vuela, vuela, jilguerillo, several like that. There's a lot of corridos talking like that. But I added a section that I've been working since a while, and it takes a long time to be well-versed in that, which is the decima, which is a 10-verse line that has a particular structure that was created by Vicente Spinel in Spain long time ago, but it had an incredible boom in Latin America. It's always good to mention that even when in Spain it declined, in Latin America it was incredibly important. So I kind of finished that in a little up-tempo beat, change of rhythm to the decima, and we got into that.
Yeah, that was I think very powerful too, because it's a reminder that poetry in Latin America, in Latin American tradition too, is not something that's just the elite. It's like, there's a popular tradition of poetry that goes hand in hand with music, whether you're talking about son jarocho in Veracruz in Mexico, or you're talking about the tradition that fills the peñas in Chile. Oh, yeah. There's beautiful integration of poetry and music as popular expression. Yes. And then we wanted to turn up the volume to 11, so we tapped Gus to share us a little bit about your previous life, Gus, and how that contributed to this song.
Yeah, it was a well-kept secret for many years, but I started off in music in elementary school public school situation, playing the tuba. And so I was really happy to be able to drag my tuba out, oil it up, and put it to use in this song. And there's different Mexican song forms that do use the tuba in a supportive way. So it was such a pleasure to do.
Yeah, so let's take a look at La Pizca del Oeste, and then we'll meet the production team that worked with us on filming this, which was very demanding in the sense of working with great sensitivity in the fields of Central Washington.
Migrantes de la nación mexicana, del campo trabajadores, ay, que dura es la jornada. California y Arizona, Texas por mencionar, Aquí va mi rendición. Hijos somos del maíz, hemos piscado algodón, todo lo que sea raíz es también de nuestra acción. De Yakima es la nación y Washington el estado. Porque yo me la he ganado. De Michoacán yo he venido, cruzando valles y sierras, trabajo a brazo partido, también Yakima es mi tierra. En ciertos estados sobra nuestra fuerza de trabajo, y yo vengo de abajo, y el desierto vidas cobra. La selva ni me nombra, a donde mi amor falta, sea maíz o falta, lo que haya que cosechar, la migra me ha de buscar, otro temor que me asalta, la migra me ha de buscar, otro temor que me asalta.
So,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead, Abel.
I think we have to credit the beautiful contribution of the Hermanas Aguilar, that actually from heartfelt collaboration, they are actually part of the Yakima music scene, and they have actually background there. Their father was a farm worker, and they just jumped and did a great, beautiful work of harmonies in our voices. So it was wonderful, not only musically, but also the affectionate part of being part of the same story, so thanks to them.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the group from Yakima called La Cantina, which includes Sandra and Gema Aguilar and Stephanie Shu, is to lend us their rolled back 0.5. It is based on, and that impacts, of course, not only Latinos but other immigrant communities as well. And to look at this and see the decades of service, the decades of contribution, economic contribution is, I don't even think we even knew when we were starting the project how important it would be to share that story.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we couldn't do it without the visual component. And so this video was especially fun to create because it involved both production teams on the Noroeste project. And so Mark and his brother Willie were helped us with that amazing footage from along the Columbia River, great drone footage. And then we had some dear friends, Mario Zavaleta and Martha Sanchez of Latino Northwest Communications that brought to the project decades of connection, genuine connection and rapport with communities across the state. I mean, truly, they are. There needs to be a humanities grant to digitize their archives, because they really are the holders of the visual record of Latinos in Washington State over the past 30 years. And their work really was essential to giving visual form to this story in particular, and also worked with us on the last song, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I'd love to invite Mario and Marta to come up and be acknowledged and share whatever words they'd like to share about the project.
Okay, hello everyone. Good evening, everybody. I would like to just start by saying that when Tony called us to do this, we just felt honored to be able to do it. And just like the timing there that they were talking about, I mean, we are living in a moment that is being so difficult, and this was like a great opportunity to make a statement, and just to show what our community is about. Mario and I are husband and wife. We work together, but we're storytellers mainly. That's what we love to do. So this was a golden opportunity to work with friends, dear friends, and learn from other producers, and then just, tell our story.
Yeah, it's been a very long journey. Almost 30 years ago, we started, driving around the state in Yakima, especially Yakima and Maragua, is kind of our backyard. We have been traveling pretty much every single little town, and we don't want to miss the opportunity to see. We don't want to miss the opportunity to see again the farm workers picking the apple, because right now it's apple season. So we are going back again. We're going to see another good friend who allows to record in her orchard, Flor Alarcón, Florecita Ranch. So she invited us again to go on this coming Monday to record again the farm workers.
But it's been an honor. This is a great project. I know that they have been working for 2 years on this project, something like that. And just like the timing, just what we are seeing right now, this is like a golden opportunity, a perfect opportunity to say that we're here and this is what we're contributing. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. Wait, before you go, though, I'm gonna keep, so, yeah, so, there are a couple things. I wanted to. You reminded me too, just to acknowledge some of the communities where we filmed, and so some of those towns were Yakima and
Maragua.
Uh-huh.
Pretty much Yakima and Maragua. And Yakima, we were actually was Guapato with Marquez Marquez Farm. It's a very good friend of ours, Sergio Marquez. We know him for many years, and every year he calls. Hey guys, we are ready to start the harvest. You want to come? And we travel. And now with Flora Alarcón in Maragua, there's even eastern, more it's close to the Columbia River. So she called me last week and she said, Mario, we are ready to start picking apples. Do you want to come? And I said, of course. So we'll be there this coming Monday. But yeah, many more people help us to produce. And actually, I don't remember many of them, but one of the farm workers is going to appear in the next video. He's a fireman. He's a volunteer.
He's a fireman.
Fireman in Maragua. So every time something happened in the state, he travels around the state working with the firemen around the state. So I don't remember the name of the
I think that one of the luxury of our work is being able to get to know people, and also establish these relationships, like human relationships. Like it's just like not, I'm just going to record and then I go. No, we develop the relation. We we stay in touch, we keep in touch. And that's really nice because we feel like it's kind of family every time we go over there. So it was a really wonderful experience. It was really amazing. It was challenging, but it was really, we enjoyed it a lot.
And something that really we are very thankful is that every time we go to Mara or Yakima, we always come back with a big bag of asparagus or cherries, a lot of cherries, a lot of apples. So that's a luxury. So
Yeah, that's a luxury too.
Yeah. Well, and I think that right now, the time when the work of this community is
And so we just found I was just telling Abel, when did you start writing this? And so they said, yeah, we started like 2 years ago. And I was just like, in moments like this, that we're going through all this, that we're being targeted, this is the like a dream statement. So when we were figuring out how we were going to illustrate this song, we thought immediately of all the people that we know that have been working in the community, not only in the east side, but on the west side. So it was a good opportunity to include them and have them and being part of this. So we have a combination of all those images and opportunities that you will see when people really enjoy seeing them playing, singing along with them. So, the rest is what you did. We just were following your lyrics and trying to accommodate. It was complicated because it was more like a very dynamic, and we were not sure how was going to be the result. It was not like something that we planned and had, calculated. We kind of like do it very organically. And at the end, we kind of suffered a little bit, but at the end, I think we did okay, right?
Oh, you did great.
Yeah. Okay.
The good thing about the next song, the next video, that we work the way that we see it is that we work with our family, because that's how we see our friends. They are our family.
What we are. That's what we are. We are a combination of everything. And that's what it makes rich our communities, not only the Latino communities, but all the communities. We have some kind of heritage from somewhere. And so I think that, again, it was a wonderful opportunity just to be part of this project, this beautiful project. We hope that we can do better next time, if there is a next time.
Oh, you did great. And there were so many organizations that were part of it. I'm thinking about...
Somos Mujeres Latinas.
CIMAR, Community Health Centers, they allow us to record in their
museum.
There's Chicano Latino Museum in South Park. Somos Mujeres Latinas. Para los niños.
Growing Contigo.
Centro de la Raza.
Centro de la Raza. Latino Educational Training Institute in Linwood. And we were in UW too.
Movimiento Afro-Latino, Seattle.
Movimiento Afro-Latino, Seattle. So, yeah.
Seattle Fandango Project.
Seattle Fandango Project, right.
Well. So many organizations.
Latinx Unidos or the South Sound.
And again, the music, Sandra Aguilar, also you will see in the video.
And also
she did
Sandra Aguilar.
rap part that she added.
She
her
did
inspiration
a part. That's right.
there,
Sandra
so-
did a wonderful rap there.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Thank you, Mario and Marta.
No,
Thank
so
you,
much.
thank you guys, thank you.
So, Gus, I'm going to ask you to explain a little bit about the songwriting process.
In a way, it's the oud of Mexico, because as my oud uses traditionally the claw of an eagle to pluck the strings, you have sort of a bone plectrum, and the idea is to hit the string like it's a percussion instrument and make that sound. Yeah. So, yeah, there it is.
Another instrument for
Yeah.
There's so many instruments and so many styles in this song. So there's like, so it kind of starts out with this kind of like Andean feel, like South American Andean, and there's a reference to Atahualpa, who's a great, keeper of traditional music from South America. But then it becomes a cumbia, which is originally Colombian, but then has been adopted all over Latin America, and then it goes into this Afro-Cuban son pattern, and during that rhythm, that's when this conversation happens between these two family members, between this great grandmother and this great granddaughter here. And so we'll do a little bit of that in real time. And in the video, you'll hear it's under the rap that Sandra Aguilar does, but we'll do a little bit of it here so you can kind of hear that dialogue that's across time and place, but in relation to each other. So you'll hear that in the video in the middle section under the rap, and there's so many layers. So whenever we do this song live, we're always it's always a conundrum what to play, because in the recording that we did here at Jack Straw, we had guitar, requinto, oud, and then I think about 22 different percussion items.
Right. Tom's in the studio nodding his head because he had to actually organize all those layers and keep track of everything.
And so you'll see some of those instruments in the video. So let's take a look at Presente Estoy, an assertion of the continuing presence and contribution of Latinos in Washington State.
mi gente. Soy abogado de leyes consciente y soy acusado siendo inocente. De dónde vengo a dónde voy, porque yo vine presente estoy. De dónde vengo a dónde voy, soy necesario, por eso estoy. Boricua, porteña, venezolana, corazón risueño, naciones hermanas. Hispano, latino, la prensa me llama, soy solo un chatino que vive en Calama. De todos los lados, de todas las fuentes, caminos andados, estamos presentes. Todos iguales, también diferentes, trabajadores, somos presentes. De dónde vengo a dónde voy, porque yo vine presente estoy. De dónde vengo a dónde voy, soy necesario, por eso estoy.
Comer rico de mi mano bajo el sol. Y mis hijos y mi gente empobrecidos sin razón. Ya no te hagas inocente de no ver lo que tú tienes, como eres con mi gente que sostiene tus placeres. Mis hijos, mi gente, tan presentes en tu mesa como el pan de cada día. Eres ágado conmigo, espléndido con tus amigos. De donde vengo, de donde soy. Me hago presente, necesario soy. Estoy y no me voy. Come rico de mi mano bajo el sol. Y mis hijos de mi gente empobrecidos sin razón. Ya no te hagas inocente de no ver lo que tú tienes. Como eres con mi gente que sostiene tus placeres. Mis hijos, mi gente, tan presentes en tu mesa como el pan de cada día. Eres avaro conmigo, espléndido con tus amigos. De donde vengo, de donde soy, me hago presente, necesario soy. Estoy y no me voy.
Sangre de aquí o allá en las venas, mi tierra sentí si la guitarra suena. La música y baile en barrio salón, la casa y la calle según la ocasión. Cumbia, guapango, lato y samba, bolero y tango, merengue y bomba. Joropo, jarocho, mambo, cha-cha-cha, volcan y guayno que quieren bailar. viajo con mi raíz, yo viajo con mi raíz.
All right, so that is the project. That is El Noroeste, and we invite folks to share this music and these videos. You can, of course, see them anytime. You can go through our website, guadalevín.com, which is GUADALEVIN.com, or on our YouTube, on the Trío Guadalevín YouTube channel. And we're just, I will say that we're very honored to have been able to bring this project to fruition. And there's a couple more thank yous that we would be remiss if we didn't thank Michaela Croyne at Washington State Parks, who saw the potential in the project and partnered with us to apply to the National Endowment for the Arts, which is something that we couldn't have done on our own. And luckily, we billed for everything before Doge cut it. And so we're honored to have this message out to the community. Anything else that you guys want to share?
Just a shout out to Tom Stiles, who's in the booth, and he might be already busy back there, but if you wanted to come out and say a word or a greeting, you're welcome to.
Yeah.
The work that he did was nothing short of amazing. The process is something like we play something, we listen to it, we start discussing the problems, and he's already fixed them because he hears them before we do. So that's the kind of engineer we had an opportunity to work with. So Tom, if you have a comment, we'd love to hear it. You're the hero of this.
This is a wonderful project to work on. I had actually worked with Trío Guadalevín in a previous project, Artist in Residence project a few years ago, and but this was very interesting. As Tony mentioned, there's a lot of different layers to put together the final piece, and so that was a lot of fun and interesting. Not only layers and depth in terms of several instruments, but as you can hear, particularly in this last piece, the progression of the different sections of the piece and how it weaves, kind of makes a story out of these different elements and stuff. So. Wonderful to work with you.
Thank you,
Thank
Tom.
you.
Thank you, Tom. Abel, any final words you want to share?
Well, I'm just grateful to all of these collaborations
It is so important for us to manage our own narrative and not have stories be framed about us that pigeonhole who we are and what our story is. So thank you to Jack Straw for empowering communities through the voices of artists to tell those stories.
Yes.
Gracias.
Thank you.